to date had to alter when they faced you guys, what they had previously sort of been doing coverage-wise and all that?
Yeah, you know, to be honest, so far up to this point, we've seen about what we've expected. I think the reason is because we've shown that we've been able to run the ball successfully. I think, to be honest, I think the best thing that could have happened is really that we could develop our running game early in the season, and really got a lot of confidence in that. I mean, we knew that we were going to be able to throw the ball. It was just a matter of time before all that started to click. But I think, you know, with Deshaun back there, his decision making and in the different plays, having ability for him to run it, him to hand it off, or him to throw it, I think it creates issues, just like the other teams that run similar offenses that have similar type skill that we do, that you really have to play the whole field, and you have to be a little bit more vanilla because you know, you don't want to put yourself out there. If you sell out to stop the run, they can throw it over the top. If you sit back to play the pass, then they can run. So, you know, what we see by just about everybody that we're playing, they're going to mix up their coverages and take their chances. But as a rule, everybody kind of, especially this late in the year, you know, everybody kind of has their tendencies and what they want to do, just like we do on offense, and we have to study those and fight against those. But up to this point, I would say everybody's pretty much played with the same game plan going into the game, in the game that we thought going in.
You had 3 freshman wide receivers catch touchdowns Saturday. What does that say about this program, this offense, the young guys can come in and make an impact like that?
Yeah, one thing I thought was pretty interesting, and Coach Swinney brought it up the other day. The 3 wideouts, freshmen that caught touchdown passes, none of them played wide receiver in high school. You know, Hunter was a quarterback in high school, Dion was a quarterback, and Ray was a running back. So it's been pretty neat to see those guys. I think we have to remind ourselves as coaches on the recruiting trail not to get too caught up in just guys that play one position, because in high school you're going to put your best guys, you know, where they can touch the ball. But really pleased with them. You know, the one thing that we've been able to sell at the wide receiver position is that we're going to get the ball to our playmakers, and then we're going to play a lot of guys. And I think that's a big, you know, some schools you look at and they've got a deep roster, but they play 4 wide receivers the whole game. And so the other 5 guys are sitting on the sidelines. And so it's pretty easy for us on the recruiting trail to show everything that we've accomplished in the passing game and receiving stats and all those type of things. And also to tell them, when you come here, all you have to do is get in the top 6 or top 7, and you're going to play 20 snaps every game as a freshman. And that's all they want is an opportunity. And so I think that, you know, we've been able to recruit at a high level, and I feel very confident, you know, with all of those guys going into play. I was really pleased with Dion and Ray to have an opportunity in a game like that to go finish some big plays, because they've been practicing really well, and you know, they've had a few opportunities in a few games, and we've tried to get the ball to them. Sometimes the defense would kind of take the ball somewhere else, and so I think I was really pleased to see both of them make some nice plays. And then, you know, Hunter Renfro is just a rare guy, great story, and you know, he's just special. He plays very low to the ground. When you watch him and making his cuts, he's able to put his foot in the ground and change directions and just do some stuff that not a lot of guys can do. And so I think he'll continue to be a factor for us along with the rest of the guys.
And you talked about in fall camp wanting to use 7 or 8 guys. And you hear coaches say that, but it's a lot harder to do than to say. How have you been able to work that rotation?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest part is that those guys practice and prepare the right way. We're not just going to play 7 guys because, you know, it's going to help us with depth and all that. I mean, pretty much that entire game, the game was on the line. You feel like offensively, you know, that there wasn't a lot of situations where we can just go put our backups in, we're good. And so those guys have to be able to execute. I mean, the play that we threw to Dion, I mean, that was a key play in the game, you know, and I've got to be able to count whether that was Sharon Peake, Dion, or Trevion Thompson. I've got to be able to count that guy is ready to go, because that call is made so quick. You don't have time to make substitutions, just like Ray's play. I mean, that was a big double move that we've been waiting on for a couple weeks. He's out there, we call it, and he goes and executes. Number one, we have to have trust in them, in their preparation and then in their practice. And then, you know, you know, number two is I think we just have to be committed to playing guys, and early in the year you're going to have a few mistakes that are going to come, but you know, I love what it gives us in the fourth quarter. You know, those defensive backs, you know, I joke all the time and say most teams have 1.5 corners that they feel good about. You know, you just don't see them rolling corners in there. And so if we can roll our guys, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Dion's out there and it's play 20 for him, but for that corner it's play 68. That's a big difference when you're playing man coverage. All you need is a step. All you need is 1 yard to get ahead of the guy. And so it helps you there. And then also, you know, injuries are part of the game. Hopefully we've got a lot more games to play this year. There's going to be some injuries. And so I think when and if those injuries come, you know, it won't be a big cause of concern because we've got a lot of guys that have been playing. And so that's kind of been our philosophy. And really, at some of the other positions, we've been able to do the same thing. Very rarely can you do that at offensive line. This has been one of those years we've been able to do that at offensive line and keep up with very consistent play.
Is it one thing to have young guys? I mean, they can come into a game when you're up 40-0 late, make the play, but when the game's still on the line, like Dion and Ray were able to do, does that add a little more juice to what they're able to build on, I guess?
Yeah, it does. I mean, to be honest, I'm in between series. I have to get them all together and just kind of go, you know, pick out which 3 are in next. I have to write it down on my board which 3 are in because I really just roll those guys every series. And but I mean, Ray and Dion are talented enough. If they had to be starters, they could go be a starter and play the whole game. And I think they're at a point now here where they know the offense and they can do that. And fortunately for us, we've got guys ahead of them that can execute and do that. You know, I look back at Artavis Scott starting, you know, a good bit of the year last year, you know, and you know, Ray is on the same track that Artavis was last year. It's just, you know, last year Artavis had more opportunities because maybe we didn't have as much depth in front of them as we do now. So, I mean, I think in our room we've got confidence really with all 7 of those guys, and it's the first time in my 6 or 7 years here where I've felt that way. And the good news is a lot of them are going to be back here for a couple of years.
Dabo said Artavis was a little sore. That's why he didn't do returns on Saturday. Do you feel confident he'll be a full go this week?
Yeah, he got banged up a little bit the week before, and so it was good for the other guys in practice. The other guys got some more reps, and then kind of the same thing that we're doing. You know, you put a lot on Artavis when he's the starting kickoff return, starting punt returner, and then a big part of your offense. And so the same conversation we're having about the depth at the receiver position, we kind of wanted to develop some of our other returners as well, and use last week as an opportunity to do that in case something did happen with Artavis and all of a sudden you're in a huge game. You have to put a new punt returner and kickoff returner in the game. And so I thought that Hunter did a good job, and then Ray had a big spark there. That was big opening kickoff after their score to get the ball out there to midfield. But yeah, Artavis is fine. He would have been fine to go full speed last week, and you know, he played 35 plays on offense and felt really good afterwards. So I think he'll be fine.
Is it a leg issue with him?
I think it was more just kind of a bruise right underneath the hamstring, just kind of a deep bruise in there that was sore for him for a couple of days.
Jeff, obviously that Duke-Miami finish was a crazy one. I'm wondering, how do you guys as a staff check officials? Is there somebody who like breaks down the film and maybe there are, I don't know, 4 or 5 clearly blown calls that, you know, you'll run through Dabo and then forward to the league office or something?
Yeah, the ACC, I'm sure like every conference, has a protocol in place. So Sunday, if we see any calls that maybe we thought were incorrect or something that was not called that should be called, then we have a form that we fill out, and I think Coach McCorvey actually sends that into them, and they do a good job within a couple of days. They send us back their response and explanation and everything. Typically, part of that procedure is that we just keep everything in-house.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that happens every week.
And I mean, are there trends that you're seeing? Are you sending in maybe more than some other years, or is this all about the same?
it's all about the same, and I know that was an unfortunate circumstance in the end of the game, which was really just kind of crazy. But in my opinion, you know, I feel like our officials do a really good job, and there's not a whole lot to complain about. You know, through the last few years, I really do think they do a good job. And, you know, occasionally you're going to have situations maybe like that, which was unfortunate.
All right, thank you.